It's been a really long time since I made a YouTube video, and I know that every single time I have a YouTube video, this is exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying it's a really long time, and it's because I have nothing, I have no content. So, I actually have content for you this time. This dude, I've had him for a while. Since I've retired fursuit making, I have been really, really slow, and it haunts me every passing day that I am slow, trust me. It's just, I always thought that fursuit making was going to be my career, and it is definitely not that anymore. Anyway, so I'm going to show everybody how to hot glue a finished face. I'm going to show how to hot glue a face. I don't think people know how. And that's okay, because it's pretty difficult. Because I mean, you really only have one shot at it, but technically not. Like, you can glue it down, and if you hate certain spots, you can take a hairdryer to it to loosen up the glue so you can pick it off real fast and then place it down a better way. I wouldn't recommend doing that because it's just like, get it right the first time, you know? Even though it's really hard to get it right the first time whenever you're first starting. So I'm going to show you what I do to prevent any fuck-ups before you glue it. And you can just like straight up heat up your hot glue gun and just start gluing that bitch on. I'm not judging you, but this is just what I do because it's not my personal fursuit that I'm working on. This is somebody else's, so you just don't want to fuck up. You don't. So if you are beginning to make beginning commissions, these are just more professional tips so that you don't have to fuck up and then you feel like months worth of work just went down the drain and you have to start all over again. Because trust me, you don't have to start all over again. These are just preventative tips. I'm gonna show you preventative tips of fucking up. Okay, let's get started. So what I like to do is before I glue anything down, I use just regular sewing pins. And I just start laying the face on and pin everything in place to see if, because even though I've pre-measured, I've cut out the pattern, I've sewn the pattern together, it is done, that doesn't necessarily mean that everything fits correctly, so you want to make sure everything fits and lays fine on the base. Because it just takes a few millimeters, a little millimeters to be off in the stitchings for it to be just not laying down right. Maybe some places are too tight, maybe some places are too loose. These are things that you need to find out before you glue anything down, because once you glue it down, it's hard to take the whole thing off again. My biggest concern is this fold that I can't seem to smooth down. You can't really see that well, but it's just this big, and that's just a miscut in the pattern. This part that goes over the brow, I did put darts in on the bottom here because I was counting for the edge here. I didn't put a dart here, so this is really easy to fix. I would simply find where the fabric is going to fold the most and make an incision, like a cut down here, cut out as much as I can and dart it back together like that to where it can lay smooth again. And that's like kind of a good example of how it'll look when it's altered. The lighting here is kind of shitty, so you can really see like every single shadow and crevice, but that's how the shape is laying now. For the back, I have everything pinned down along here. The ear is going to be a bitch, because I don't know if you saw me messing with the ear for a really long time, but I really was struggling with that. This is a side that is unpinned, so you can't really see the shape at all. It's just kind of laying on top of the foam. So I'm going to pin this side and see if I need to do alterations on this. I would say it's smoothed down pretty well. Again, there's going to be some lines because the fabric is being pulled taut in certain places. I need to make alterations to the inside of this jaw. It was just sewn a little bit too together here. You can see there's a lot of extra fabric here that is preventing it to fold over properly to make a nice shape. Okay, I did all the alterations. I'm not going to pin it again because I know everything fits correctly. We're gonna get to gluing now. I'm gonna time lapse it because it's gonna take forever, but I took the ears off so the alterations would be easier, because it was a lot of like fixing it and then putting it back on and then adjusting and then fixing it, and so I just took them off because the ears were too heavy. So this finally lays flat. I darted it right here, this little tiny seam. All I did was lay it flat the way I wanted it to, and I took the scissors and I went like that. And then I took it off and darted it together. So now everything lays nice and flat. There's a little fold here, but that's because there's a lot of seam allowance that doesn't need to be there. So it'll lay flat. Everything lays flat and beautifully now. I don't know if you can see it now, but yeah, there's like a seam, but you can't see it from the outside, which is the important part. And I seam ripped everything right here so it can lay a little bit more flat. And right here as well, I made it a bit tighter so that there could be less lines along the muzzle. Yeah, anyways, time to glue it. Finally, glue you, because I've been working on you for years, plural, years, with an S on the end of it. Okay, I'm gonna time lapse that. Yes, I look different because it is a different day. Anyway, I have finished. So usually by the end of the gluing, you can tell everything fits in its place. He is a half, what would you call this? Harlequin? Like a half and half. He looks like this on this side. This is all glued down now. And there's no creases. There's a few bumps here and there. That's just gonna go into shaping to really smooth down those parts. But that's practically how you glue down a base. It's just a process of really like pushing against the base and smoothing things out, making sure like all the seams go into the cracks as there were casted to do. What I do with the ears now is there's a separation here. I'm just going to do a blanket stitch along here so that these are attached, so they're more anchored, so they don't move around so much like this. They're going to be anchored, and that's not a good example. More anchored so that they don't move around, but they still wiggle, so you can still do wiggly ears. Before I do that though, the way I reinforce this with felt so it doesn't split open, I'm going to reinforce the foam on the ears so that even though they are anchored this way, they don't slowly shrink more and more and more down as it ages. It's just to reassure that the foam underneath doesn't get too old and start actually ungluing. I do recommend this reinforcement through everywhere. I did it on the muzzle. I did it like along this jawline so that this doesn't, it just lasts a little bit longer. But this is my last official suit, well, at least a custom suit. I think I will be finally going into an artistic liberty of this. I've always wanted to do pre-mades. I started doing suits when I was 16, 17 years old is when I first started getting into this fandom. Well, I got into this fandom around 2013, so it's been a good 10 years now, but I've been doing this for a while, and I started when I was very young, so I think it's finally time to turn a new stone and do something else with this. So thank you guys so much for watching all my tutorials. I'm going to go into my pre-made journey, and hopefully I discover new things about crafting and I can share those with you as well. But thank you so much for watching how to hot glue a fur template or like your fur pattern onto the base. I don't think I've ever done that before. So the more you know. But this is all bare, so I'm going to it's just the same thing you usually do. You put tape on it, cast it, sew it down, glue it down. Gonna put hair on him. The eyeballs, the mouth, the nose. I've already done videos on all of those on how to do that. I can link that in the description as well. But that's it. I'm gonna go now. Thank you. I appreciate you.